Good morning, everyone. A little bit different this morning, right? How's everybody doing? Okay, rockers, it is Wednesday, September 25th, and we are going to have an amazing show this morning. We got a little bit different today, so we have hour one and hour two today. In hour one, we're going to get to our daily NFL headlines. We're going to see what's going on around the NFL today. Are you guys ready? I hope you are, because I am. Where's Will, right? Well, we're going to find out here in just a minute. But before that, we're going to do Lions injury recap. We're going to find out what's going on with our MASH unit today. And then teams under 20 points. Will's been saying all along, we got to be under 20 points. We got to keep them under 20 points, right? We're going to see how all the other teams fared, keeping people under 20 points. Did they win? Did they lose? I bet you they won more than they lost. And then, is AG off the hot seat? Is he no longer on the hot seat? I don't think he ever was on the hot seat. Not this season. All right. And then hour two, we're going to change it up. We're going to get into what do the Lions do at edge? Do they stay pat? Do they bring someone in? Do we trade for someone? We'll find out. And then welcome to the Pride, Tim. Ooh, that's going to be fun. And then we have around the NFC North in 90. So we're going to do a quick recap of what's going on around the NFC North. And then Dan Campbell doxxed. What does that mean? I don't know, but I'll find out right when you guys do. Rocked On Fantasy League recap. So we're going to have fun with that because this guy is doing pretty darn well. And I may have scored the most points in the league this last week, and I might be undefeated, kind of like I was telling you guys I was going to be. All right. So I want to welcome everybody in this morning, and we're going to see who is in the chat this morning. You guys ready for this? All right. We got Michael Garrity, as always. Hey, Michael, I hope your kitty cat's doing okay. Hope she went to the vet. Hope you guys got everything all figured out. And we got Mike P. And then Trace, as always. Let's see. Dave Scott, Joseph Austin, Let's Go Lions. Got myself, Uperlights in there, right? And then we got Bruce MacArthur, Roger Chappis, some of the everydayers here, Fred Peterson, Motown Mitch, Bruce Morton, DLR Van Halen, and Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. How's it going this morning, Jeremy? You guys doing okay? I hope so. So what do we have going on around the NFL? And hey, let's welcome in our host, Will Rock.
Well, let's give Eric a hand for managing through that on the last minute of the morning. It's not easy. It's not easy. It only took me about a year to finally get comfortable with it. And I still didn't find what I was looking for. But I got some of it set up. So I was trying to get the green screen rolling so I can do some drawing this morning, and I should have it rolling. You're just gonna have to bear with me for a couple of minutes when I get it going. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show, 8:05 a.m., September 25. Eric already did the pleasantries. Let's get rolling this morning with the roster. So, Eric, I'm surprised that you didn't know who or what the doxed meant. So
I don't know what doxed is. I've never heard that word.
So it's come out before, right? It's a word that's sparingly used. But it essentially, it means, someone kind of gave up your info, right?
Okay.
Here, let me give you the exact
I get you
definition,
like
right? Past tense. Yeah, it's a past tense word. It's search for and publish private or identifying information about an individual on the internet. So that's what happened to Dan Campbell. And I found, the more news that was going to come out. I mean, you could say credit to the media members for digging, because somebody dug.
I wish they'd stop.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would too. I mean, just leave the dude alone. And it's different. Like when I was hunting for Cam Sutton, right? Ooh, that was a good one. That would have been a good thought. Hunting for Cam Sutton. But quit hunting for Dan Campbell. Like, just leave the guy alone.
And like, I read a story that his daughter had a friend come over to the house, and then the friend got mad at the daughter, and the friend let everybody know where they live.
See, I didn't hear that. So the story that I read was there was a male student at her school, and she was at home with her boyfriend, and Dan and his wife were still in San Fran, or in the area in Cali, in the Bay Area. So what had happened is that male friend had released the information on Reddit or Twitter or something that said, you know, effing guy going for it or something like that, and released his address. So yeah, that's not cool. Matter of fact, let me just bring in the ESPN story here. This was written on the 24th. This says Dan Campbell's home address was publicly leaked on social media by his daughter's classmate earlier this year, according to a report by the Detroit News, ultimately prompting the Detroit Lions coach to sell his home after multiple instances of harassment and unwanted visitors on the property. The Detroit News reported Monday that, according to police reports obtained by the paper, multiple people showed up at Campbell's house, or Campbell's residence, in Bloomfield Township on the night of January 28, just hours after the loss to the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Before I read the rest of this, I have to say this. You have a lot of nerve, or some extremely big balls, to go to that man's house. I'll tell you right now, I would not want to see Dan Campbell in a dark alley and he's pissed off.
I don't care if he's home or not.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Cool. Say hi. You know, you're walking by him, attempt a handshake, which, you know, it's kind of weird today with the whole past, you know, P word and everything that's gone on. People are, you know, still kind of weird about that. Fist bump, whatever. Hey, how you doing? Got a minute for a pic, whatever. I mean, something simple. But I tell you what, you go to this man's house in the middle of the night, you're expecting to probably not feel too great in the morning. You know, I'll just leave it at that. I won't say anything negative about Dan because I don't know, you know, what he's like off the field, behind closed doors. He could be the most mild-tempered individual, but he's a big dude, and he knows how to handle 300-pound men. So I would probably leave him alone.
No, there's no way that his house that he had lived in, the one that they found the address, there's no way that's not in a gated community. There's got to be a security guard letting people in and out and having to vet people before they go to his house.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever read anything that talked about him living in a gated community.
He should. If he doesn't, then maybe he should move to one.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always ways to get through things.
If I was one of those players with that kind of money, there's no way I would live someplace that's not secure.
Right. Of course. So according to this report, the Lions security official contacted Bloomfield Township Police that night to report that Campbell's address had been posted online. An investigation conducted by police and NFL security revealed that a male high school classmate of Campbell's daughter posted the family's home address on Snapchat. So there we go. Snapchat, not Reddit. Yeah. With the accompanying text of "dumb F trying to go for it." So Campbell and his wife, Holly, they were still in the Bay Area at the time, according to the report, but became nervous for the safety of their daughter after vehicles and people showed up outside of the residence. Campbell's daughter was at the Bloomfield Township residence that night with her boyfriend, who went outside in his vehicle and flashed his headlights at anyone approaching, causing these people to turn off and leave, according to the report. The Campbells eventually instructed their daughter to leave the home with her boyfriend, and the report stated that police patrolled the residence for the next several days. According to the report, the daughter's classmate was identified on January 29th and questioned by investigators. The classmate said that he and his friends were distraught by the Lions' loss to the 49ers and that he found humor in the Snapchat post. The classmate and his friends later drove to the Campbell's residence, parked on the street, and were yelling not nice things toward the house. That's a quote. Before leaving, according to the report, a police investigator informed Holly Campbell that the incident did not meet the standard to file criminal charges against the classmate, which makes sense. I mean, it's public information. Believe it or not, you can get anybody's info online. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's not hard, especially if you've ever dealt with real estate. It's not hard to get people's information at all. It just depends on if they're smart enough to bury it under an LLC or not. Holly's only concern is that their address is out there now, and she feels that next season people will know when her husband is out of town and try to take advantage of that, the investigator wrote. So, yeah, interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm glad the Campbells are safe, and they made the right decision. It's just sad that this stuff is popping up during the season. Like, well, why is this stuff popping up now?
Yeah. Well, one thing they haven't been reporting either is Campbell's been for the last year and a half having a brand new home built. So, I mean, they were moving regardless. It's just this happened to happen.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he was moving either way, he was already building a home. This was not breaking news. This was not, the sky is falling.
Yeah. The media didn't need to even report this at all. They just should have kept it quiet and just let the guy move. Let him sell his old house. Who cares?
Yeah. It's stupid, man. Just come on.
Yep.
Just stupid stuff. This is where, you got real fanatics that, that kind of take it a little bit too far or whatever.
You don't want to be facing this guy in a dark alley.
Nope.
Go to his house at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Something tells me it wouldn't end well.
Yeah.
Would not end well. All right, let me dip back into this roster here. Actually, I'm just going to pull it up down here. Let's see what we have in hour one.
NFL news.
Yeah, Dan Campbell docs was hour two, but whatever. Daily NFL headlines. What's going on around the league is the question. What's going on, Eric? You find anything?
Yeah, so I have a little something here. Let me just move a few things around. Okay, so this kind of relates to the Lions, and I just want Lions fans to relax. Okay. Jake Bates on the season through 3 weeks up until the end of the the end of the second quarter was a perfect 100% on the season. And then he missed an extra point, right? Well, I got a little something here. Justin Tucker is dealing with technique issues amid 3 missed field goals. There was a time when Justin Tucker was making field goals that Justin Tucker making field goals was about the most automatic thing in football, but that hasn't been the case in 2024. The Baltimore Ravens head coach, John Harbaugh, doesn't seem particularly worried. Okay. Tucker is 5 of 8 on field goals this season, which is 62.5% conversion rate and well below his career mark of 89.7. The biggest concern is from distance. He was just 1 of 5 on attempts from at least 50 yards last season and is 0 for 2 in the same category in 2024. So people are jumping off the ship and they're hitting the panic button and are all up in arms because of Justin Tucker missing some field goals, right? He's one of the best to ever do it. He's the one that hit the 66-yarder against us in Ford Field. This guy is an amazing kicker, and even he misses a few. So I just want everyone to, like Will says, relax. It's going to be okay with Jake Bates. He only missed an extra point. Give the guy some credit. Let him do his thing, and I think everything is going to be just fine. Dan Campbell has no worries with Jake Bates, and neither do I.
Yeah, Jake's fine, man. Come on, 1 extra point's not the end of the world. Of course, he shouldn't be missing such an easy layup, if you will. But you know what? Basketball players miss layups too. They miss free throws as well. So it happens, and I think that's the way you've got to frame it, right? I mean, we're human. A twist of the rich. See, can't even talk straight half the time. A twist of the wrist, and that ball goes a little to the right. You plant wrong with your left foot, that ball goes a little to the left. Whatever the case may be, it happens. The biggest NFL news, in my opinion, that I had found is kind of related to the Lions because it was one of our arch rivals for such a long time. And I don't know. See, I would never make light of somebody's medical conditions because you never know what someone's dealing with. You can look at somebody like myself and say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, but you wouldn't know unless you've listened to this show, what, different things that I deal with on a daily basis. And Brett Favre, man, he was a thorn in our side for a very long time. And my heart goes out to this dude right now because he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And you would think, man, such a tough legendary, I mean, animal on the gridiron, just putting it in every day, winning hundreds of games. And, the development with the brain injuries and everything like that over time has really progressed, which, surpassed his career, right? I mean, it all kind of started after Brett Favre, kind of hung it up, or it kind of started right around the same time, I guess, when he was retiring. But he reported to Congress, had a meeting with Congress, testified with Congress or some other, issues, and told everybody at that time that he was recently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And it's something that he's known about for a little while now, and he was going to let everybody know at some point, but he appreciated everybody's well wishes. And the thing that I took out of this, I mean, not only is this guy a legend in the sport of football, but now he's going to be dealing with something that, according to some reports or studies, that Parkinson's disease is progressed or sped up in individuals that suffer multiple brain injuries. Brett Favre now thinks that he has suffered thousands, which I think that number is probably a little off, of concussions based on how they are now commonly identified, which the traditional sense of a concussion has changed from when I was a kid. I mean, I got bucked by a horse in my face, broke my nose, and I was concussed. But you know what? They didn't do anything about it. They stopped the bloody nose, asked me if I was dizzy, and sent me home. Put ice on it. Walk it off, shake it off. You'll be fine. That was 35 years ago. How does that affect me later in life? I don't know. Probably not much. But for somebody like Brett Favre, I mean, having these little mini car crashes every single play in the NFL, and every single play that he played prior to that in college and Pee Wee football and everything else, now has Parkinson's disease. And he's still fairly young to be dealing with something like this. So not only did Favre spend 20 years in the NFL as a player, but he also lauded his durability, right? Or for his durability. He didn't miss a single game from 93 to 2009 and set a record for consecutive starts. There is no way possible he went from 93 to 2009 without suffering some sort of, a bell ringer or 2 or 3 or 10 or 100, who knows? And that's what he's saying now, that he feels like he's been through thousands of concussions. Anyway, he's now known for a different issue with this whole scandal and all of that. And now this stuff is coming out, but wish him nothing but the best, man. Even though he was a thorn in our side, it's still the game is beyond the white lines, right? It's beyond the gridiron. There's more to this than just playing football. And that's why, I do some of the things that I do behind the scenes and for other people's, because it's bigger than that. So heart goes out to Brett Favre, man. I hope that something beneficial or positive can come, of this for him and his family. Yeah. What else you got?
My mom said, if I can't say anything nice about someone, then don't say anything at all. So I will pass on the whole Brett Favre deal. Next, Derwin James. Okay, this is from Ian Rappaport. Officially, Derwin James is suspended for forcible contact with his helmet. During the third quarter of Sunday's Chargers-Steelers game, you were involved in a play that the league considers a serious violation of the playing rules. The video of the play shows that you lowered your head and made forcible contact to Steelers tight end Pat Freiermuth. You had an unobstructed path to your opponent, and the illegal contact could have been avoided. Your continued disregard for NFL playing rules will not be tolerated. Substantial penalties are warranted when players violate the rules intended to protect player safety on a repeated basis, particularly when the violations carry with them a significant risk of injury to the opposing player. So apparently Derwin James had a dirty hit. He lowered his head on Pat Freiermuth and didn't need to, and the league has suspended him for one game. He is appealing this suspension.
Well, I'm glad this came out, because there was quite a few of those incidents that I think that, we had seen last night in the replay of the All-22 with some of the members. Yeah. It's quite disappointing. There was the one play on Terry and Arnold where Kyler Murray took off, and at the end of the play, it appeared that he dove at Terrian's knees. And it's so awkward looking. You can tell that, in my opinion, it looked intentional. You can make your own opinion or assessment on the play, but there was no reason for him to dive at his knees like that. He should have just went down, went out of bounds, whatever the case may be. The smarter play would have been probably to go out of bounds, to stop the clock and save a little time. But be that as it may, it looked like he dove at Terrion's knees. Thankfully, Terrion, didn't suffer a major knee injury. Same thing happened with Trey McBride over the middle on Brian Branch. Brian Branch went low to make the tackle, perfectly legal. And Trey McBride tried to go lower and started with the crown of his head. Brian Branch suffers a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Barnes injured on a violent crackback block, not called. By the way, none of these called on the field.
Yeah. And that Derek Barnes one, he didn't even see it coming.
Right.
The guy came from his side and completely blew his knee up from the side. I mean, completely took it out.
Right. So, I mean, there's multiple plays in this Cardinals game where it looked highly egregious that these players were intentionally trying to hurt, beyond the scope of playing football. The one that I'm going to highlight for you today that we're going to do live, and I did a video on it last night and I didn't publish it because, there is a such thing called, like the offensive lineman chop, right? The arm chop. And it's used commonly, right? They use it for, trying to get the defender's hands off of them. When they're engaged, they use the chop to try to disengage so they can retain or maintain leverage on the play. And to me, it looked like there was, one, not necessary to do that on this play. And two, it injured Davenport. And I don't care what anybody says. I've watched the tape on Davenport now 3 weeks in a row. He missed the second game. That dude has played incredibly well. He overpowers everybody he's gone up against. And it's not even close. We are losing a big man that plays the game well. I hope he's back next year. And so before I move on to the next subject here, well, we got some more NFL headlines. I've been hearing this thing about, this should have been a topic today. Well, I guess it is now. Was Marcus Davenport worth it? Was he worth taking a flyer on because of his injury history? Okay. I've seen a lot of comments that, man, we wasted money. This was a big mistake. Brad Holmes, shops in the bargain bin, whatever it is. Whatever I hear out there, we've heard the dollar store general and the bargain bin hunter. I mean, whatever. I'm not saying anything about you, Eric. It's been around for a while.
But you have to listen.
You have to.
You have to as a GM. You can't be Ryan Poles all the time, paying high prices for all these free agents. In free agency, I want bargain bin Brad. I don't want Ryan Poles. I don't. Because then in a year or two, you're going to be stuck in this financial situation where you can't re-sign Hutch. You want to see Hutch go off to play with the Raiders so he can play with Max Crosby? Because that's what will happen. Because you're not going to have money to pay your best players. And I love what Brad does.
Yeah.
And taking a risk, sometimes in life you have to take a risk. So I took a risk once back in 2019. I jumped in with both feet. I quit my job and I went to selling rocks full time, right? Most people thought I was crazy. They said I was going to last 6 months and I'd be back to the casino working there again. Well, it's 5 years later and I'm not working back at the casino again. I took a risk and it worked out. And I love that Brad does this. I think it's really, really smart because this guy was a former first round pick. What was he take? Ninth overall, I think. And he's got the physical traits. And we saw it through 2 games. We saw that he was affecting the pocket. He was getting to the passer. He was having pressures. He had a sack. And just imagine if he was 100% fully healthy. I think over the course of a year, he would have been great. Maybe even, one of our better defensive players. And I'm just like you. I think next year, if he comes back and he can get healthy from this and let all his other stuff heal some more, He'd be just fine, and we should be able to get him on the cheap, cheaper than $6 million even.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if it's the same price. And so that's what I wanted to clear up. So number one, we don't know what the overall contract is as far as injury settlements or, if you get injured, this is how much you're going to get kind of a deal, because all of that stuff is in these contracts. Just because you're bringing in a guy that has a littered past of injuries does not mean that Brad Holmes wasn't smart when he put this deal together. We don't have access to the contracts. We see a surface level through Spotrac, or over the cap, and it gives you a very surface level view of this is your max contract, this is your base contract, this is your guaranteed contract, this is if we cut you, this is if we trade you, and that's surface level, right? It's 10% of the entire contract. You still have all these little performance bonuses, and then you've got the clauses in there that protect the team and the player. So, and that, again, that's a very surface level of a contract. But I digress off that. He's guaranteed $3 million. That's it. He's guaranteed $3 million. So if he doesn't play a whole season, you don't get $6 million. He's guaranteed $3 million. Now, in injury settlement, there could be something in there that says if you've only played through week 4, you get $1.5 million. If you played through week 8, you get all $3 million. Who knows what's in there? But we'll find out when all this is done and over with at some point. I hope he's back next year. I really do. We'll deep dive his tape one of these days. I'll do a video on it or something. Or you can watch even all 22, and watch DC when he reviews these first two, or the first and the third week game, and what he has to say about Davenport, if you don't want to believe, what I have to say, because Davenport was an absolute dog in there. And watching the way that he played was exactly what I was hoping that we were going to get, and how it affected the pocket, but how disciplined he is. He played so well constructed to discipline, it's not even funny. I mean, you could see a measurable difference between anybody else that plays that position in Davenport. Anyone else that we've had in the last 3-4 seasons, and Davenport is far and away a much better, had a much better presence within staying in the containment zone. And not only that, but putting pressure down the line and crashing down the line when needed and making the play. And he was a big, powerful, run through your face, kind of like what he says kind of guy. So I hope that he comes back, but I don't believe that he was a waste of money at all, especially when you look at some of these other players, that are making big time bucks, and they don't even play, half a game and they're done. Emmanuel Mosley, we paid him about the same amount of money. Yep. He lasted 2 snaps or whatever, or 4 snaps, whatever it was. And that's it. And then this year never even got to take the field.
Mm-hmm.
And he was only paid $1 million, I think, all in this year, but you paid Emmanuel Mosley probably 3, 4, 5 million, whatever the number was, to play 2 snaps, and you didn't have a problem with him coming back. Yep. So I would be careful on how we frame, some of these positions as bargain bin hunters, because to some people's credit, without snagging up some of those players, you're never going to be able to re-sign your own. And if you don't fill in the cracks and the crevices with good, solid athletes at a bargain that you're trying to high risk, high reward kind of deal, you're never going to have a good team. You're never going to have a team that's built upon success of its drafting. And we know that Brad Holmes is a really good drafter of talent. And that's where this team is going to be built. It's like a 90-10 kind of give here. I think it's, 90% roster, 90% draft. That's where Brad is wanting these big time players to come from. 10% from free agency. I mean, I think he struck gold at Carlton Davis. I was really concerned about his health. What happens if he goes down? Is that another big waste of money too? Yeah. And we all questioned his ability. He only played in 23% of active games that he was able to play in his entire career. So he's getting paid big money to only play, in 77% of the games. So everyone has injuries.
Yep.
Frank Ragnow has 20 injuries.
Yeah. It's a part of the NFL. We can't stop it. And the one thing I'll say about Davenport, man, that guy could set the edge. Yeah, he's the best at setting the edge that I've seen in a Lions uniform in a long, long time.
Yeah, dude,
So
I already missed the fact that he's not going to play this week.
Okay. And then Casey in the chat, he says, it's confirmed that Davenport is out for the year or just the regular season and could be back available for the playoff push. So what I saw is that they put Barnes and Davenport on IR. So I don't know if that is season ending IR or if they are both eligible to come back after 4 to 6 weeks. I have no clue.
So, I mean, traditional IR is 4 weeks. You got to miss 4 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
They can only do so many to come back, though.
Right. They can only designate. Is it 4? The number might, if you want to look it up. I'm still trying to get this play to load up in here. Once this play loads up, I want to switch over to the whole Davenport injury too. Because this injury, you guys have to understand this too. This was not his fault. Like, this injury was, in my opinion, intentionally done, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys to make that decision for yourself on what you think happened here. Because for me, it looked clear as day that Paris Johnson is dirty. And I think that's the main reason why I didn't post the video last night, is because I don't want a legal issue, but not that I would have one. Maybe I would. Who knows? But it just looked dirty as all get out. But there's nothing wrong with discussing it. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation and letting you guys decide for yourself. Is there a little bit of intentional act going on here or not? I mean, it's always intentional. I mean, you're still playing the game. Everything you do is intentional. It's with purpose. But this just seemed a little bit outside the bounds to me.
Okay, here I got it. So in 2024 season, teams can designate up to 8 players to return from injured reserve during the regular season, and up to 10 players if they make the postseason. So we're good on that front. So that
I thought the postseason was unlimited.
Yeah. Well, this is what the old Google machine's saying right now.
Oh yeah, you can't trust Google.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to actually look at the rule book.
But it looks like up to 8 players during the regular season.
Eight's a number that sounds very familiar. That number does ring a bell, but I'm pretty sure that postseason is unlimited.
Yeah. I think they just changed that this season, right?
Might have been last season.
Yeah.
Might have been last season. Come on, where is this play? I had this problem last night trying to find this play, and it was in the 3rd quarter, and here I am already in the 4th quarter. So that's part of the problem. Again, I'll ask you guys, do you remember where it was? I should have wrote it down. I found it last night. I thought I had it queued up, and then I come in this morning, and it's gone.
And Casey in the chat one more time. He would assume that the intention to injure by the Cardinals was officiated poorly, and that basically the Cardinals were playing dirty. And if you go rewatch that game, you were 100% correct there, Casey. There was very poor officiating, and they were being a little more than just physical and violent. And that Cardinals team is trying to emulate the Lions. They're trying to be what do you call it? Not bullies, but they're trying to play bully ball, and they're trying to out physical the other teams that they're playing. And I think they're really trying to do exactly what the Lions are doing, but they took it a little too far.
It's all up to your personal perception, right? I mean, perception is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like how tone is different for everybody. You might perceive somebody's tone is off when they're talking to you, but unless you know the full story behind that individual, that maybe they've had multiple surgeries through the throat, or had a crushed windpipe while boxing at age 16. This guy, your tone could be a little bit off. So tone is perceived as, man, this guy's an a-hole. He sounds like a jerk. But it's not your fault, it's not your fault. So perception is reality, though, right? I mean, what you see, it's reality. It's just to what degree was Paris Johnson really trying to, was he trying to injure? Or, I mean, what was the point behind? I would love to know. The biggest thing is, you know, you watch it and it's very clear. And I know I keep talking about it and I want to see it. I want to show everybody. So we'll get there in just a minute. Let's move on to some more headlines, or is that it for today?
But also, like Jeremy B saying in the chat there, that if you go back and watch the Cardinals Rams game, you want to see, you want to make an opinion whether they're kind of a little overzealous team or not. Go watch that Rams game. They lost Jonah Jackson. They lost Cooper Kupp. It's a mash unit over there. They lost another offensive lineman. That team got destroyed 41 to 10 or something. And it was a very, very physical game. So maybe they're just being a little over physical.
Who's that? I'm sorry. Who was that?
The Cardinals over the Rams. The Rams just got beat up. Just like this Lions game, we got beat up. So what's going on? Why are so many people getting hurt playing the Cardinals this year?
Maybe we have another Sean Payton bounty gate, you know?
Yeah, something's going on.
Yeah.
That many people shouldn't be getting hurt in one game.
Who's their new coach now? Dan Quinn, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so. He is a defensive minded coach. I don't know. He's Washington. I'm sorry. He's Washington. He's not the Cardinals. So power rankings is where we're going to end today's headline. So power rankings on a Wednesday, NFL power rankings for week 4. Kansas City still remains at number 1. This one's a shocker. Pittsburgh Steelers rise all the way up to number 2. This is according to the Sporting News. So I'm reading the Sporting News power rankings here. Buffalo Bills at number 3. Now all of those teams are 3-0. Minnesota Vikings at 4. They're 3-0. The Philadelphia Eagles at 5, they're 2-1. The Lions at 6, they're 2-1. Previously at 8. Houston Texans 2-1, they're down to 7. Baltimore Ravens at 1-2, move up 1 spot to 8. The San Francisco 49ers down 3 spots to 9. Green Bay Packers hold tight at 10 at 2-1. The New York Jets pull off a couple of wins. They bounce up to number 11. And the Seattle Seahawks are the only 3-0 team that are not in the top 10. I find that interesting.
Yeah, so I ask you this. Who have the Seattle Seahawks beat so far? And the same question could go for the Green Bay Packers.
Let's see. Who have they beaten?
Because the Packers have beat the Titans and the Colts, 2 teams that are not very good so far this year.
I guess, yeah, I mean, if you want to look at, the competition level of who they've beaten, and how that is helping or hurting their ranking, I think that they would weigh that a little bit differently during the ranking. Maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah. And, the Sea Chickens, they beat up on Miami last week. That's what King SJ says. And I'm pretty sure they had 2 other, lower tier teams that they beat week 1 and week 2. And that's what I've heard. They haven't been tested yet by a real, not a real team, but a contender type team. So the Lions are still favored in that game by 3.5. It started out at 4, and we're still favored by 3.5 at home.
Yeah. So the Seahawks beat the Patriots by 3 this last game. They beat the Broncos by 6, and they beat the Browns by 4. So all tight games within 1 score. I think that there's some validity to what you're trying to say there. As far as the Packers, the fact that they beat the Titans and the Colts. Colts have a fairly good defense. I don't know their injury level right now, but they have a fairly good defense. Beating up the Titans, I don't think anyone's really surprised. Dropping 1 to the Eagles, in the first game, that was a really tight game. It was also week 1, so you could go either way. You just never know what's going to happen in week 1. But my power ranking, me personally, my power ranking is I am tied for 4th in the country for my pick'em. So that's my power ranking. I'm tied for 4th.
I have no clue how I'm doing. I haven't even looked.
That's craziness. Good year on Pick'em so far. All right, what's next? Let's get to the Lions injury recap. I think we kind of did that, but let's take a look at everybody and discuss it as soon as I can get my screen back open. Where did it go? All right, so what do we need to know about the Lions' latest injuries? You know, what are they looking like this week? It's Wednesday, it's Hump Day, so we'll know a little bit this afternoon that'll kind of frame what's going to happen for the weekend, and then of course on Friday we'll know more. But obviously Derek Barnes is gone to IR. Davenport is gone to IR. Both I think are going to require surgery. I think was the last update on Barnes. It looked like he was going to require surgery as well. Maybe he could be back. And who else did we lose? So Derek Barnes, Campbell mentioned linebacker Derek Barnes as another player set to miss extended time. Might be a bigger blow than Davenport. Yeah, I don't think so. He's arguably the most versatile player on the Lions defense. If versatile means that he can play special teams and linebacker, that's not the most versatile player on this team. I would argue that Vaki is honestly the most versatile player on this team, but he doesn't get any playing time, so that doesn't really count. He's capable, it goes on to say he's capable of rushing the passer, playing in the box as a stack linebacker and in the slot as a coverage defender. He found a home in his jack of all trades role. In a contract year, which he is. Hold on a sec. All right. In a contract year, the Lions are going to be held without his services for a little while. There's really no one else on the Lions roster who can do what he does. I would argue that too. They'll find somebody to put in here. What I've heard, not that it's going to stay this way forever, is that Brad Holmes is going to just next man up this roster and laterally backfill, which he already started to do yesterday, and laterally backfill it, you know, with players that we already have had in this season. And he started to do that yesterday. So we brought Morris Norris back. We didn't go out and sign a big name linebacker. We didn't go out and get a big name defensive end. And those conversations will probably start after or maybe during the bye week, see where we are at the bye week, and then see where you are at the trade deadline. If in between that time you see that there's a need to go out and grab somebody and these guys are not, like if Derek Barnes can't come back, yeah, Brad might make a move, but I don't think it's going to be a big move. At least that's what I've been advised of, that it's literally going to be plucking guys off the street, so to speak, laterally backfilling the practice squad with players. You've already seen Tim Patrick get signed to the 53, which we knew that was going to happen eventually. But now it just made sense to get it done, fill the spot, lock him up. You can't lose Tim right now and everybody else that we're losing. Frank Ragnow was another big injury with a torn pec. This one was reported late on Monday evening. As we know, he suffered a torn pec in the win over the Cardinals, an injury that happened early on in the game, and he played the entire game. So that's the good news. The bad news is I don't think that we've still heard where the injury is. Like, we did the video review the other day of the types of pec injuries that there are and what they mean, and the type of surgery that's required or time off that's required. So there's a lot that we need to know about this still to understand where Frank is going to be in his recovery, or can he get healed by taking a few weeks off? I would say the answer is no. I think he's going to be battling this the entire season, and you guys have already heard me on record stating that I think this is Ragnow's last year now. It's just one more injury he's going to have to battle this season, and it's going to lead into another off season. I just don't know, based on Frank's past and the way he acted after the NFC Championship game, I would say we have a bigger chance of losing him, which sucks because, they just signed Graham and they did re-sign Taylor and they re-signed Panay. So maybe he sticks it out another year. It's all going to be, up to Frank and how he feels after this season. Does he have another season in him? Can he get healthy enough? It sucks because Frank, in my opinion, is the most important offensive guy in this team.
Mm-hmm. That's the one that's going to hurt the most because Awasika is going to have to come up, or Corby Sorsdahl, or we'll have to use Dan Skipper as a guard. And I don't want to see that. I want to see Frank in there. I really do. And if we do make a really deep playoff push, if we really do make a Super Bowl, we can't do it without Frank. Come on. He's the warrior that's been here the whole time. Him and Decker, they deserve to be out there. And I want to see them healthy. I want to see them win. And if he can play through it, I think he's going to play through it. I don't think Dan Campbell's going to be able to keep him out of the game. If there's any, medical way that he can get out there and play, he is going to play.
Yeah, I would say that that's accurate. I'm still trying to find this stupid play. Next play says R or N, and I'm doing that, and it's not doing anything. I just think I'm too old for these things. I don't get it. I'm pressing the button, it's not doing it. Whatever. I just got to let it play. So what's up next here? Is AG off the hot seat?
I believe so. I think he is firmly in the cold seat. And if he keeps this up throughout the season, just like you said, I think AG gets a head coaching job because he's proved he can take a defense that was in the ashes and built them up into a mountain. If he can finish with a top 10 defense after the end of the season, there's no way he sticks around because he will take a head coaching job. He's not going to be like Ben Johnson and wait for the perfect opportunity. I believe I don't care if it's the Jags or the Panthers or whoever, if they dangle that coaching job in front of him, he's going to take it.
Well, like I said in the video yesterday, he's coming off of the winningest season in franchise history. By the way, did anyone try to call in yet? Because I forgot to plug the phone in. My bad. So is AG off the hot seat? Was he ever on the hot seat? What's going to happen if this defense starts to fall apart because we're losing personnel? And that's the biggest question that I have right now is what's going to happen to AG if we lose personnel and this defense starts to fall down. Phone line is open if you want to call in and talk about Aaron Glenn or any of the other topics that we've talked about this morning. You'll get your 30, 60, 90 seconds, get your take out, and then we'll talk about it off air, especially if you guys are driving around. Want you to be safe out there. Call in 313-312-0348, the fan hotline here on Rise and Grind Morning Show, 313-312-0348. Give us a ring, a jingle, whatever you want to call it. Just call in, tell us your take, and we'd love to get your ideas and thoughts this morning on the air for everybody else to listen to too. So Aaron Glenn, he's coming off the winningest season in franchise history for this Lions franchise, right? And in my opinion, I don't think that there was a whole lot of hot seats on this team ever. I think that, yeah, there's been a few guys that we've walked away from, Aubrey Pleasant and John Scott. I mean, Todd Wash just kind of left. Deuce Staley left. A couple other coaches left. Oh, we got a caller. We got an AG guy on the phone. Hold on here.
All right, here we go.
Thanks for calling in Rise and Grind Morning Show. Who do I have on the air?
Smoking Jeremy B.
Smoking Jeremy B. Good morning, buddy. So we're talking about Aaron Glenn. Give us your 30-second take on Aaron Glenn and anything else you want to add to it, then we'll take it off the air.
Well, let's see. We're averaging to being into the back end of the top 10 to the early teens in defensive ranking. Isn't this where we said he had to be to get him off the hot seat? I think he's there. But if the injuries pile up and the defense starts to wane, because it's a next man up roster, we said this is the deepest roster we've seen in years, probably our entire lives as Lions fans. So if it starts to slip way down, like into the 20s again, then everybody's going to put the finger on him and not look at the talent level that he's coaching.
I think that that's a very fair statement. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or should we take it off air?
No, you're good. I just wanted to say, people are saying Reeder's not making a difference, but forgot that Davenport didn't play week 2. Reeder did, and Hutch went off.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Tape is a good thing. You know this, Jeremy. Tape is a good thing.
I know, but this guy's going, I haven't seen Reeder do anything but get stood up in the chat there that I was arguing with.
I didn't see it.
And I'm going, oh, yeah, Motown Mitch, he's going off on it.
Oh, Motown. All right. We'll take it off air. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
Right,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So it's a great point, right? And I was going to get there here in just a second, kind of talking about the same thing. And I made this weird statement in the video. I said, they've been trying to make, lemonade without lemons in a bad roster. And that's exactly what Aaron Glenn has had to deal with the first 3 seasons he was in Detroit. Brad Holmes did not really heavily invest in anything on the defensive side of the ball when it came to draft, right? The biggest draft that he really had for the defense was in 2021. Who did we have in 2021? So we had Ali McNeil. And you got to remember that Ali McNeil didn't really arrive until last year. It took him 3 seasons to arrive. You had Derek Barnes. It took him 3 seasons to arrive. He didn't really arrive until last year. And I would say that even Derek Barnes is not totally unlocked yet. Like he's getting there. I wouldn't say that he's a top 32 linebacker in this league by any means. And I don't even know what the numbers are, but that's just a guess. I'm going to say he's not. Who else did we have in 2021? We had Ali McNeil, Derek Barnes, Levi. I mean, he had a decent rookie year, but all 3 of those guys played less than 25% of snaps. I think Barnes played the most because we didn't have a whole lot in the linebacker room. Before I forget, shout out to Trace for the $5 super chat. She says, let's get those last 5 likes to get those ads off. Well, I tell you what, I'll throw you guys a bonus this morning. We'll just get the ads off. But I still want those likes. Come on now. You guys can do it. Yeah. You guys can do it. All right, ads are off. Here we go. That's my gift to you guys. You guys have been awesome. And I can't thank the moderators enough for really helping take care of everything, keep everybody kosher and in line in the morning. It's a great channel to be part of. It's a great community to be a part of, especially, when you're part of the membership, not that you have to be. But the Blue Zone chat, man, it's incredible how people are interacting with each other just to have access to a text app, just like you do in the chat. But now you have it all day, every day, and you can turn it off, right? I mean, you can turn your notifications off. But to be able to engage, man, the type of conversations people are having. And matter of fact, I think David Lyons, I think he said in here when he was in Arizona that he got to take, he took pictures of a bunch of people, all because of this app that we're using, to be able to communicate with people and meet people, at away games. And that's what it's all about. I've always said this channel is wanted to be a bridge between the team and the fan. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make things happen, whether it's the cruise, whether it's the Rock Down Cancer Foundation and helping out, Lions Cancer Warriors and people that have battled and still battling. We've got a whole host of different things that we're trying to put together and putting together and have already put together to be that bridge between the fan and the team. So I forgot what I was talking about here with HE, but the roster, I know that he had a bad roster in 2021 was the first, major year. Well, we got some gifted memberships here.
Oh no, Broski Bear was gifted a membership by Joe Schmo.
He was already gifted a membership.
How is he in there twice?
Is that a fake Broski Bear? Do we have 2 Broski Bears?
I don't know. It's got the paw and everything, just like Broski Bear.
Yeah, but people can find that.
Did it only last for so long, and then
it lasts for 30 days?
Huh? Because he should still be in there then.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah. Huh? Because those are automatically done, right? Oh, kneecap biting Motor City. So Jeremy B got one. Casey got one.
No, kneecap biting. I don't see that he got one.
Oh no. Okay.
Anthony, Chip, Casey, Broski, and Martinez. They all got one. Welcome into the Rise and Grind of the Rock Down Detroit Lions membership group. And Joe Schmo, appreciate you gifting 5 memberships this morning. Big ups to you, buddy.
So I want to say something real quick about this whole membership thing and what Will was talking about. Will and I are going to be at the Uperman's tailgate this weekend on Monday afternoon, evening, whatever. And we're going to the game against the Seahawks. It's going to be a blackout this weekend. They've officially announced it's going to be a blackout. So everybody wear your black jerseys. If anyone wants to meet us, anyone wants to talk, anyone wants to meet up, please get a hold of us in the chat on the Voxer app. And man, I will make it full everything to try to come to where you are and meet you, especially in the stadium or whatever. If you want me to come up to 319 and say hi, I will. So just get a hold of me or Will, and we will try to do everything we can to come take a picture with you, chat for a couple minutes. And fans are everything, man. They're everything for me.
So do this though. Let's make sure that we understand what we're doing at this tailgate on Monday. So come to the Uperman tailgate.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it's all about, is come to the Uperman tailgate. We are supporting the EUP Hospice and Rockdown Cancer Foundation. We're going to have raffle tickets there for things. There's ways to donate. There's beer, there's sodas, there's mixed drinks, there's food. So whatever, and you've got some of the best fans in the world all together. You've got a hot tub if you want to come jump in a hot tub. There's all sorts of things going on. So come on down to the Uperman tailgate. There's got a DJ. We got live music. Everyone's dressed up to the nines, Crackman, Lion's Mane, you name it. They're all there. So come on down to the Uperman tailgate and join us and support a couple of really good, foundations. And Megan's been doing a wonderful job with her EUP hospice. But at the least, just come say hi. Just come say hi, take some pictures, and have some fun.
There's no price for admission. It's by donation only for food and stuff. So
yeah, and the bracelets don't, from what I understand. So the bracelets for the other tailgate, I think those are $50 a piece. Those don't go towards Rockdown. They don't go towards the hospice for Megan. That stuff is typically cash only or Cash App or whatever. But I'll have raffle stuff there. So I'll have items there that you can see that we're doing. And there's going to be all sorts of stuff, man. It's going to be fun. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to make. I was going to make something to bring food-wise, but we'll figure it out. So back to AG. Is he on the hot seat? Was he ever on the hot seat? And to Jeremy's statement here, you made a good point. He never had a roster. He never had the personnel. And the point that I was trying to make is in 2021 was the first season that Brad Holmes had a draft. We lost about 80% of our roster year over year. I mean, we gutted it, right? You started with the youngest team in 2021, or the second youngest. And that didn't really let up until year 3 of this team, until last year. And even then, we are still like the top 10, top 11 youngest teams in the league. But 2021's draft picks really didn't play a whole lot, right? I mean, Levi O was injured, missed all of 2022, so he missed an entire year of progress. 2023 was still limited. So this is his second season really in 4. So you've missed out on an entire draft pick, for pretty much the entire time he's been drafted until this year. I mean, he played as a rookie, but how impactful was he as a rookie? He wasn't really that impactful. Ali McNeil, like I said, just arrived. Derek Barnes just arrived last year. They started to play better. Ali McNeil had a phenomenal season. What do we do in 2022? Who do we draft in 2022 for the defense?
Hutch.
Yep. So we drafted Hutch. I even though he had gaudy numbers, right? Gaudy numbers as a rookie. If you go and look at the tape, it will tell you that he cost us a bunch of yards. He cost us a bunch of first downs. He was always out of position, it seemed like. And that's rookie mistakes. It's going to happen. But on the surface level, you see 11.5 sacks. You see all these pressures and hurries and quarterback hits. You see the surface level numbers, but you got to get underneath. You got to get underneath the sheets a little bit and take a little bit, of a deeper look. And I'm not saying that he's a bad player or was a bad player as a rookie. He wasn't. I mean, he was the best defensive end we probably had on the team at the time. Even as a rookie, he just was a little bit out of control, if you will. Drafted Jameson Williams. He didn't do anything that year. Hell, he didn't do anything the year after that really either. Josh Pascal, consistently injured since his rookie season. He just started to play a little bit last year. Still missed a ton of time. Kirby Joseph, well, he arrived last year. He finally started to have a decent season. James Mitchell, tight end. Well, he hasn't done anything. Malcolm Rodriguez, he played a lot as a rookie. He was one of our better linebackers as a rookie. And still wasn't enough, though. I mean, you're talking, fifth round picks helping this team. How many fifth round picks do you see on top 10 defenses that are starting? Not many. Not many at all. James Houston. Well, we know the issue with James Houston. He didn't start until about week 9, 10. It was Thanksgiving against the Buffalo Bills was his first game. And he went on to have a really good rookie year to finish out the season. But again, he played like 5 snaps a game, 10 snaps a game, 7 snaps a game. Didn't really do a whole lot. Just had some gaudy stats, right? Gaudy sack numbers. That's all he had. So again, 2023. So far through 21 and 22, the only player that played with regularity was Aiden Hutchinson. That's it. And Lee McNeil. And Derek Barnes was snap count. Yeah, he was there 25% of the snaps as a rookie, but none of these guys really affected the game a whole lot. He didn't really have a ton of players that we drafted that were really helping this team from the get-go. Yes, Aiden helped as a rookie. Yes, Aleem. I mean, they all helped, but not to the degree that we're seeing now. Now that they finally are who they are as players, and we got a much better view of what they can be, well, the future's a little bit more bright, right? But you can't punish AG for not having a roster to start with. Most coaches in DCs or OCs are walking into a situation that maybe it's just a little bit of a rebuild, a little bit of a retooling, if you will. Not the Lions. They gutted it. And now in year 4, I mean, we are 90% of roster attrition year over year. 90% we've lost since 2020. The roster's been changed over that much. The only guys that remain since 2020 is your offensive line and Jalen Reeves-Maybin. That's it. That's all you have. And like I said in the video, in 2021, your top defensive players were Tracy Walker, Charles Harris, and Amani Owarie. Wow. Like that's saying a lot right there. Do you want to blame AG? Here's the last thing I'm going to say, because I could go on an AG all day. Just watch the video. Just watch the video I put up. I broke it down pretty well. It's about 30 minutes long, but I gave you a ton of stats, ton of information. You might have to rewind it a little bit because I was speaking a little fast. Here's what I wanted to say as soon as I can roll to it here. Here we go. 2021, we were 31st in coverage. In 2022, 16th in coverage. Year over year, we doubled up, what we did the year before. But in 2023, we slid all the way back to 30th. Well, that's when, Aubrey Pleasant's getting fired in between that time. Obviously had some issues there. 2024, we're already at 20th to start the season. So huge improvement, right? Started at 31st, went to 16th, dropped to 30th, and now we're at 20th. So if you go from year to year, 23 to 24, huge improvement. Pass rush. In 2021, we were 28th. In 2022, 19th. And the other thing I got to say about 2022 is if you look at these overall numbers, they lie to you. Because this defense was not the same defense for the first half as it was the second half. In the second half of the season, we were darn near the first defense in the league. That's the way we were playing. We were top 3 in a lot of categories in 2022. So the numbers started to, kind of do this, if you will, as where we were way down, right? Playing like crap, worst in the league in everything, like 30th and 32nd in all metrics. The last 8 games kind of brought us up a little bit. So you have to dig into the numbers to really see what happened that year. But anyway, pass rush from 2021 was 28th, now 3rd. 2021 tackling 32nd, now 1st. 2021 run defense 32nd, now 2nd. Overall defense in 2021 32nd, 3rd. So I would say that the proof is right there. You give AG the guys that he needs, he's going to give you a defense. The scheme was always there. The players were not. I'm done on AG. What do you say?
Well, I'll say this too. In 2024, our passing defense, if you take away all of those pass interference penalty yards from Terry and Arnold, we look way better. Because what's he given up? 150 yards in penalty yards so far this year, something like that. And it's just crazy. So as soon as he gets his hands down, his head turned around, the kid is super sticky in coverage, and seeing him, the way he plays, he reminds me of a bigger version of Darius Slay. And I think eventually he is going, second half of the season, he's going to be amazing once he gets this pro game down.
I don't know what happened in the chat with Motown Mitch or whatever, but
he's mad because Jeremy called him out on the phone call.
Oh, gotcha.
And he didn't have a chance to.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't really recognize that when it was happening.
Yeah,
we don't like to do that. Yeah, I would let that one slide for today. I'd be pissed too, I guess.
Yeah,
he didn't get a chance to defend himself. But anyway, so Motown, look, come on back. I didn't know. I didn't really realize that was happening when it was happening.
But we also have to have a little thicker skin and just realize, man, it's just a chat and we're just talking Lions football. We're all here for each other. We're not here to argue and get pissed off at each other.
Yeah, as long as there's no personal attacks, everything else is pretty much off limits. No F-bombs, no personal attacks. Everything else pretty much no racism.
Fun, you know, talking football, we're supposed to jab each other a little bit, you know, and have fun with it, but not pick on each other. Okay.
Yeah. Shoot. You know what? I keep forgetting about this play that I'm trying to find. You know, it's
one of our members, so
it's only going to take me 3 days to find it. Oh man. So what's up next here? It's the second hour. Let's get to a ad from one of our sponsors here.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from uperlights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uper Lights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit uperlights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from uperlights.com.
Here, and you want the latest news and rumors on your Detroit Lions. Head to sportspider.com. That's sports, SPYDER.com, where you can get your Lions news and all your sports in one place. Man, this site is packed with your favorite podcasts, live news, articles from local writers, and insiders, all updating in real time. Not just the Lions, every major sports team, including MMA, UFC, and so much more. Don't want to waste time searching? Sign up for free. Create your ultimate sports news hub. You control what hits your feed at SportsSpider, your number one source for all your sports. Visit sportspider.com today, right after the show. All right, we're back. So, what are the Lions going to do at Edge? That's the question. Eric, what do you think the Lions are going to do at Edge?
I don't think they're really going to do anything. I think they're going to play Wingo some more. I think either Agude or who's the other kid? Ukwu. One of those guys are going to get elevated from the practice squad for the week. And I think we're just going to roll with the punches. You're going to see Warrior out there. You're going to see more of Josh Paschal. And Paschal, Dan Campbell's already said he's going to play more, and he's going to play more at edge. He is probably going to be the one that fills that position.
So Paschal, I mean, he is more of a, he's an inside outside guy, right? But he is somebody that can step up. He is somebody that can play on the outside. Now he's not going to have the type of a talent level that I think that we're looking for to replace, a Marcus Davenport. It's like not even close. But I think that at the end of the day, it is going to be trial by fire here. They're going to have to keep plugging guys in and out. They're going to have to switch up what they're doing on defense to try to fit the personnel. And that's where AG finds himself in trouble, right? Is maybe not making the necessary adjustments when it comes time to personnel groupings. There we go. I found the injury now. When it comes time to make the adjustments with the personnel groupings that you have that day, I think that's where AG gets himself in trouble, and I think he gets stubborn. I think that's a good word for AG. I think he gets stubborn. I don't know that I'm alone in thinking that, but I feel like he just gets stubborn. Eric, if you could find the information on Tim Patrick. So welcome to the Pride, Tim. So Tim Patrick obviously has been signed to the 53. If you wouldn't mind just rolling through some stuff on Tim Patrick, I'm going to dial up the play here for Davenport and bring it in.
Sure.
Phone line's still open, by the way.
Yeah. So Tim Patrick came over to the Lions from the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos released him. I do believe that we were trying to trade for him before that, but they probably just wanted too much for a player that they were already going to release because of Josh Reynolds. And they have Josh Reynolds this year, our former player. And we're going to see if this is a upgrade or if it's a parallel move or if it's a downgrade. What do you guys think? Do you think Tim Patrick's going to be better, the same, or worse than good old Josh Reynolds? Now, Josh Reynolds played with Goff for 9 seasons, and they knew each other. They were like brothers. And anytime that there was a play that Goff was in trouble and absolutely had to throw the ball to someone that he knew was going to be open, it was always Josh Reynolds. He was his security blanket, as many people call him. I really think that Tim Patrick can be his security blanket. He just needs some time in the system and needs to get on the same page with Goff, and they're really close. I can tell that Tim's going to be able to make some amazing plays doing the toe drag swag on the sidelines. When we're trying to save time on the clock, we got 35 seconds, and it's 3rd and 8 from the 43, and we got to get down and score a touchdown with just enough time to win the game. That's the kind of plays I think that Tim Patrick is going to come up big for us. Corner the end zone, going to the sideline, that kind of stuff.
Goff just has to throw the dang ball. That's the problem.
Yeah,
He's not been wanting to throw the ball to the boundary side for whatever reason, and it's frustrating because there's a lot of plays that are open, man. There's a lot.
Yep.
It's early though. I think Goff will get it together.
We just got a super chat from Ed O'Neill, and he says, "This is AG's time to shine. Does he defeat his sea demons?" I believe so. I this is one of those games. I think that AG and Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, I think this is one of those games they've had circled on the calendar since the beginning of the year. Monday Night Football, the first blackout, first time we're getting these black jerseys and the new helmets. If you watched Terrion Arnold on Instagram yesterday, he had on one of the new helmets and he had this little ninja thing going on. And he's like, "What do you think of my new helmet, everybody?" And he had it on being all goofy. So Monday Night Football, it's the Seahawks who we haven't beat in Dan Campbell's tenure as head coach. AG has never beat the Sea Dragons. It's coming. We have to do it. And last year, listen, CJGJ did that whole face mask, ski mask thing, and we got to make up for it. because after the game, it wasn't the Lions that were the villains wearing the ski masks. It was the Seahawks. They came in here and they stole that one from us. They made it they made their way back. They got into overtime with us, and they did the walk-off, score a touchdown, end the game. And it killed me. It killed everyone that was a Lions fan. You know, that was our first home game of the season. We were favored. We weren't supposed to lose that game, and we lost that game. So just because we're favored this weekend doesn't mean we're going to win that game. But I think this is part of our revenge tour. This is where we put the pedal to the metal, our feet hit the ground, and it is time to overcome our demons. This is one of those games that I think has been circled on the calendar since the schedule came out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree that this is obviously a big game for us. Just got to get this server up real quick. There we go. It's finally working. Almost there. 10 seconds here. All right, we've got some action. Got some action. I just got to turn it into a Telecaster, Telestrator, whatever it's called. Almost there.
Hey, we got another super chat from Ed O'Neill. He says, no golf pick 6.
Appreciate it, Ed. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, so no golf pick 6, please. Can we go 3 straight years? Is that 3 straight years against the Seahawks with no pick 6s? That'd be kind of nice. Yeah. I want to see Goff come out and play like he did in the first half against Arizona. 14 for 14, no interceptions, no balls on the ground, placing the ball where it needs to be. That was great protection in the first half too. And then it kind of broke down in the second half a little bit, and he wasn't hitting the people in stride, and he did throw an interception. And I don't care what anybody says, the 2-minute warning, the reason he threw that ball up and the reason that there was an interception was because there was already a whistle blown and they thought the play was over. Otherwise, Goff probably would have just held on to it and taken the sack or thrown the ball to somebody that was open.
Right. All right, let's do this. Here we go. I'm going to bring in the Marcus Davenport play. I want to hear you guys' comments in the chat, in the comments. Use I for intentional. Or use O for offensive play. So I's and O's. I for intentional. O for it's just an offensive play. And you guys let me know, was Davenport intentionally injured on this play by Paris Johnson? Is Paris Johnson dirty? So what I'm going to show you right away, excuse my writing because I'm still new at this. Yep, see, I'm already off. There's Davenport. Okay. And here's Paris Johnson. What you're going to see is Davenport's arm is going to get locked in on Paris Johnson, and then Paris Johnson comes down with his karate chop. So I'm going to let it play. Let me slow it down so we can watch it in slow-mo. I can't do anything about the quality of this video. Here we go. So it comes in, we have to get locked up. Now, right here, you see Davenport's arm is extended. Now, normally, when a offensive lineman is going to use the chop technique, it is when they are first engaged. And, you know, Davenport usually wouldn't be in this type of a situation. It's normally when they're first engaged, it's a quick chop, right? I mean, it's a quick chop. For whatever reason, it looks like Paris holds his arm with his left hand, right? Pulls him in, and then Mr. Miyagi's the dude. And pushes down on it. That looked like an intentional, I'm trying to break your arm kind of move. And you can see that Davenport's whole body just kind of moves down with the motion. All right, right here you can see. Let's see if my drawing can get it. Nope, I suck. No, still way off.
Go to the right. There you go.
Yeah.
Right there.
So right here, I mean, you'll see his arm come up and then it goes down. Okay. I'm gonna have to work on.
It's hard with those black jerseys.
Well, it's also hard when I literally don't have the same screen in front of me. I literally got a green screen in front of me. So watch his arm come up and then come down. It's like he holds it, and then pushes him down, but it's a karate chop pushing it down. Obviously, extremely painful for Davenport. Huh?
Then he just stands over him.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing. It's like, are we serious right now, dude? Like, really?
When I played football, if I unintentionally hurt someone, I wouldn't stand over them. I'd be like, dude, you okay? You okay? You know, hey, get the doctors in here. Get the doctors in here. Not stand over them. And I don't like that part of sports when people do that stuff.
Yeah. Let me kind of make this a little bigger here. Because, yeah, as you'll see, Davenport is down. And he's just kind of standing over top of him. Like, got you, dude.
Yeah, there's no, hey, can I help you up? Hey, you okay? Nothing. Yeah, and see, even after he sees that he's hurt, he just, whatever.
Right.
I don't like that at all.
So, I's and O's, you guys tell me. I for intentional, O for it's just a normal offensive play. Any of you offensive linemen out there? So there's the better angle right there. Let me slow this one down.
Dirty player from OSU.
Oh, jeez.
It's not college anymore.
All right, so they come in. So normally you'd see that play right there. So look, you can see his left arm. I'm not going to be able to draw this.
Way up on top there. There you go.
Here, we'll get closer. We'll inch our way.
Keep going.
All right. Oh, this is terrible. This guy, you get people are probably laughing their asses off at home.
It's awesome. I love it.
So anyway, you can see where his left arm is going to pull Davenport in. The left arm, which you can barely see on the opposite of Davenport, right? And then he just chops and pulls him down. See? That is not a football move. I'm sorry. That is not a football move. Maybe I'm just dumb. But I've never seen an offensive lineman do a move like this that wasn't at the point of attack. And it's not even this type of move. It's just a quick, I mean, they're just trying to shed the hands. That's all they're trying to do is just shed the hands, not pull them in, and then chop and pull them down. I mean, he's got a grab of his left arm, and then, that just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. It's complete BS.
Yeah. Well, you would wish that the NFL would do in-depth looking at injuries like this and send out some letters the following week with suspensions and or fines, just like they did to Derwin James. He just got a one game suspension for the San Diego Chargers for a hit on Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, I'm sure more are coming.
Yeah. You know, and I haven't heard of anything coming out of this game. When do the penalties usually come down, like the fines and stuff? Is that Wednesday?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna put a question up here. Was Paris Johnson dirty or not? I like that. Dirty Johnson. That's funny. So now you guys probably see why I didn't want to post a video. Maybe I still will. Maybe I still will. Maybe I'll just clip what I just did and just post that as a video, because then I'm trying to educate, right? I'm trying to get your opinion on it. I don't want to be labeled like I'm just kind of creating trouble here. I don't want to be like, that guy, but I do believe that there was more to this play than what meets the eye. I've never seen an offensive lineman do something like that ever.
We don't want to be negative at all, but listen, there is some stuff coming out of this game after rewatching it that it's like, I think they went a little too far.
Yep. I think they did.
I got hurt against us and the Rams. It's starting to add up. If it was just a one game anomaly, that's one thing. But when you start seeing, and I should go back to the first game and see who the Cardinals played that first game against the Bills and see what they did against the Bills.
Man, the Bills are for real this year.
Yeah.
Jeez. They're looking good.
And the Bills went toe to toe with the Cardinals.
All right, so Eric, do you have the ESPN fantasy pulled up?
No, but I can real quick. All right, let's see what we are doing in our Rocked On Fantasy League. So let's see.
Now, next year, I'm going to have this open up to like, I don't know, maybe a dozen or more leagues, if you will. Like I want to have 50, 60, 70, 100. I don't know, however many different teams we can get in. But we'll probably do, 10 or 12 player leagues. And some of them are going to be free just for fun. Some are going to be donations to Rocked On. Some are going to be, you can win money or prizes. Obviously, all the benefit will go to Rocked On, but you get what I'm saying here. But next year we'll get ahead of the curve and we'll need some moderators, some managers, some people to step up to, to help manage all the different leagues.
Yeah. I did this one this year last minute, and I went out and bought some really cool prizes. I went and got $200 worth of the new $5 Detroit Lions lottery tickets. And I'm going to be giving those away as prizes. And one of the things I wanted to give away was anyone that beat me for the week, I was going to send them some tickets, right? Well, no one's beat me yet. I am tied for first place with Midwest Lions and Garrity's Grit, okay? Our three teams are 3-0. And then we have a bunch of teams that are 2-1. We got Lionheart, Mr. Wayne Rogers. We got D-Town Riders with David Lyons, Malik's Monstrosity.
Oh my God. How did I lose this week? I'm looking at this.
Yeah, so I have to tell you something. You are tied for last place at 0-3. But you have 301 points for and 335 points against. And if you look at mine, I have 422 points for and
but you guys all cheated. You put me you all cheated. First of all, I think that you have multiple teams. Second,
I have one. Come on now.
I'm just kidding. I got the 12-1 pick. I got the worst pick ever.
God, that's a great pick.
It is a terrible pick.
You pick two at a time, man. I had number 6. I was in the middle.
Yeah. I had the 12-1 pick, but you know what? 3 losses isn't a big deal. I can still make it into the playoffs. But each week I'm like kicking everybody's butt, and then in the last game of the week, something happens. And Malik, or Chef, he doesn't even do anything with his team.
He doesn't have to, and he's tied for second place.
Well, how did I only score 74 points? This is what doesn't make any sense. Oh, I see. CJ Stroud he only threw for 9.8. Yeah. Dobbins only went for 8.4. Rashid Shaheed, he didn't get anything. Nothing on the day. Josh Reynolds 5.6. Mark Andrews nothing. Another goose egg.
So I'm gonna give some people some NFL fantasy football advice right before the games, about 20 minutes before the games at 1:00 on Sunday. Check your roster. Make sure all your people are going to play, because sometimes it changes last minute and you end up putting somebody in that you thought was going to play and they don't play.
Yeah, all my guys played.
Okay.
Yeah, all that every week. If you want fantasy advice, it's at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. tonight. We got to move back an hour. So if you want real fantasy advice, you can get it at 8 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
Well,
I am
just craziness. But in a free league, just a fun league, obviously, the way people were picking their teams in this game or in this league was not normal. You wouldn't see that in a normal fantasy league where everyone's just grabbing all the lions and then screwing everything all up.
No, it's the same thing. Even in my other leagues, it's the same thing.
No. You had a bunch of Lions fans grabbing all the Lions players, taking people way out of order.
Yes, that happened even in my pay leagues.
Then they're not very bright. You don't take players that early.
You would not believe what happens in big pay leagues. You wouldn't believe it. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen.
Well, I see it with Jared. I mean, we've got a few big leagues that he's in.
Yeah.
And all the big boards and everything and how they can strike. It just depends on your process. Are you going the hero mode, the zero mode? What are you doing? When are you taking your running backs? Are you taking none? Are you taking one late, taking one early? How much stock you putting in a quarterback? The tight ends even matter. Do you even take a tight end until the last, 3-4 picks?
To me, running back is huge in most drafts. I have for years.
I had to go all wide receivers because all the running backs were gone by the time I even had an opportunity to pick.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. But we'll be on the comeback. We'll see. I tried to get Malik to trade us all a bunch of players because he doesn't do anything. I said, you know what? We should just divvy up your team with everybody.
Yeah.
But
That's
well,
right.
It is what it is. I'm getting my butt kicked, people. This isn't normal. I don't normally lose. But I also haven't played in years, so that should tell you something.
Yeah.
No time.
Well, I'm still doing pretty good. Even in my pay leagues, I'm 2-1, and I'm either in first place or tied for first place in both my leagues. In my pay leagues, I am back-to-back champion in my keeper league, and I'm hoping to be just like the Chiefs in three-peat. I don't think the Chiefs are going to repeat to do the three-peat, but I'm thinking they're hoping they're going to, and that's what I'm hoping to do in my league as well.
I really like Bo Booth's comment in here. I think it's spot on, buddy. It says you can hurt someone on every play if that's your intention. So talking about the play with Davenport here, that there has to be a lot of trust between the players. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a sport. I mean, I think, dude, that's spot on take, man. These guys trust their opponent, that they're not out to do something vindictive. All relationships kind of cease when the first kickoff happens and the game starts. Your best buddy on the other side of the sideline, it's no longer your best buddy, for those 60 minutes. And at the end of the day, you're not trying to hurt your best buddy either. You're not trying to hurt some of your friends, your old teammates. These are all professional athletes. This is how they feed their families and a bunch more families, to be honest with you. They do a lot of great work in the community. Got to trust each other. To me, that was as dirty as it gets. And if you watch this game, I might just do a highlight of Davenport if all 22 already hasn't. The dude overpowers everybody. And that's why it's going to be such a big loss. Like, this was such a great pickup. And before, we understood anything about Davenport, I was not very high on the pick. But that's kind of like anything. If you don't hear about the player, then you look at the injury report, you kind of get jaded, right? Oh, great. Another injured player, another bargain Brad, another, Dollar General, whatever, whatever that take is by dude. It's got to be understood that Brad Holmes knows what he's doing, and AG clearly wanted this guy. Otherwise, I don't think that Brad Holmes goes out and gets this guy without AG wanting him, a part of this team. And Terrell Williams, too. I mean, we've seen the impact of Terrell Williams immediately, right, Eric? I mean, it's night and day difference with what this defensive line is doing. And for anybody that thinks that DJ Reader hasn't helped this team, I do, again, forget the stats. I advised, right, early on in the season, preseason, DJ Reader is not going to show up in the stat lines. He will not. And if he does, great. That is not what his game is for. It is not for stats. His game is to allow others around him to be highly effective. There are some players on every team that's what they're great at. And you know, the people that know it and understand it and appreciate it are the guys to their left, the guys to the right, and the guys coaching them that see the work that they put in each and every day to allow the rest of the team to operate. DJ Reader operates at a very high level. He is a very impactful player. Just watch the tape. You'll see. When he starts pushing that pocket, things start to happen around it. Things start to break down. Remember, I use the analogy. It's like a chain link fence or a chain link chain. Chain. You break that center link, what happens, right? That chain falls to the ground in the middle. Well, if you're holding the chain all in a line, everyone's got their hands out, you're holding the chain. Okay? Do the exercise if you want. And the person at the end just cuts part of the chain off. What happens? Well, that piece of chain falls to the ground, but you still have all of these people holding up the chain. How much more difficult is it going to be to move all of these people attached to this chain versus same people holding the chain, but now you go to the middle of the chain and now you cut it. Well, now that chain is split in two right in the middle. How much easier is it going to be to move two sets of people no longer connected versus one? You are more unified as one than you are divided as two. I think that's simple math. I think it's a simple analogy to understand. We are all much more powerful together as one. Our voices are stronger together as one when we're chanting Jared Goff. They're not as loud when we're individual saying it ourselves. Another decent analogy, I guess, for the Lions. The point that I'm trying to make is when DJ splits that offense, and Aleem is right next to him doing the same thing, and now you have to send, a tight end, behind to chip and get extra pressure, or extra backing behind the offensive lineman, a chip, whatever you want to call it, or the running back now has to protect, Kyler Murray. It's going to force Kyler, and I know I've said this a lot, it's going to force Kyler or whomever we're going up against to have to get off their spot, left or right. And the minute you get them off their spot and you start to disrupt their throwing lanes, that's how you really start to affect the game downfield for the DBs. You get the quarterback off their throwing lanes, and now they're starting to throw balls they wish they didn't, and you're going to start to see some interceptions happening. More deflected passes, more drop passes, passes off target, and that's why having a player like DJ Reader is so important. He affects the middle. The guys on the end will play cleanup duty, and now our linebackers behind will also play cleanup duty. Those are going to be the players that show up in the stat lines. It's going to be Aiden Hutchinson, now who's ever on the right side of the defense, and our linebackers that should have the majority of the stats. It should not be DJ Reader. It should not be Aleem McNeil, but Aleem McNeil is going to have his time this year. I guarantee it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, we have to have a defense that can play together. And I don't believe that pulling in some top tier free agent is going to happen. We're really going to miss Davenport. And I think the only way that we can move forward is using our own guys, figuring out whether it's Houston or whether it's Pascal or whoever it is. I think it's going to be Pascal. I think Pascal is going to be the man now. And that's the way it sounded from Dan. They asked him if Houston was going to get a chance to play. And he's like, we'll see. Maybe, he wasn't too committal. He wasn't too committed to saying he would play Houston. So I don't know what's up with Houston. I don't know if he's on the hot seat. I don't know if I don't know what happened, but I'm wondering if his attitude reared its ugly head again, because apparently his rookie season, the first 6 games when he got cut and brought back and, didn't play, I guess he was kind of pouty. So maybe that's come back to rear its ugly head. I don't know. So we'll see what happens with Houston this week. But one interesting thing right now, the Detroit Lions have one open roster spot. So that's kind of interesting right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, they just made a bevy of moves. They have to, it'll get settled. So the conversation about Trey Hendrickson, I see the question or the statement in here by Vincent.
I don't see it ever happening.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Cincinnati is probably not out on their season right now.
No.
I would say after they, get to week 6, depending on how many wins they have, they might be looking at things a little bit differently depending on what's going on in their division. When you look at the AFC North right now, let's take a look here. So in the AFC North, you have the Steelers at 3-0, the Browns at 1-2, the Ravens at 1-2, and the Bengals at 0-3. So if you think that the Bengals can't catch up to the Browns, who are severely impacted right now, Myles Garrett's obviously out. The Ravens are not playing Ravens football, so there's still an opportunity for them to at least get in up into second place. The Steelers, I'm sorry, they're not going to maintain. There's no way they maintain. Justin Fields is too much of a liability. I understand he's had a good start to the season, but we know Justin Fields. It would be a complete anomaly for Justin Fields to have a great season and throw for more than 4,000 yards or whatever the case may be, not get injured. We'll see how that goes. So that's why I think you get into week 6, and if the Steelers are 6-0 or 5-1, and the Browns are 500 and the Ravens are 500 and the Bengals are 500, I don't think that they're out on their season. And I understand that Trey Hendrickson wanted a trade. He requested a trade back in April, but he was scheduled to make $14.8 million this season. 14.8. He's a 1-year rental. There's no way Brad Holmes would ever trade a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick for a $15 million contract on a 1-year rental. There is no way.
Yeah.
He's never done it. He will never do it. So just like, some articles that came out the other day, when you start to see this clickbait crap, well, would the line here, I'll tell you one right now. Would a trade for Trey Hendrickson make sense for Detroit Lions? It's just getting you to click. They're just trying to pump stuff into your brain so that they can make some money. That's what media is all about now. It's not about reporting news. It's not about reporting facts. It's just getting you to click. It's unfortunate that that's where media is these days. And that's partly why I really wanted to do this. At the very beginning, I started writing, and I don't write anymore because I don't have time. But once I find people that want to write, I got a spot for you right here. I wouldn't be pumping all this stuff. I would probably do one article and say, these are the available guys on the market. These are the guys that are on teams that maybe you could sway to coming, or maybe you could sway into, getting a trade for. But I wouldn't identify any one individual. I think that Trey Hendrickson has been identified because he requested a trade. He's also pretty talented. But at the same token, the dude wants a ton of money. So he also wants a new deal. So are you willing to bring in Trey Hendrickson and pay him $20 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years and not re-sign Aiden Hutchinson next year? Because that's what's going to happen. You wouldn't be able to re-sign him. Remember, you've got Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those contracts are done. And Jared Goff still only makes $27 million next year. But he makes $65 million in year 3 of the deal. So, and that's, now a bargain compared to what these other deals that have been signed. I don't see it. I don't see Brad doing it. If Brad spent more than $10 million on a player, I'd be surprised. And if he gave up more than a 3rd or a 4th round pick, which we don't have a 3rd, I would be surprised. So they would have to work out something, probably by the trade deadline. We're going to get through the season. That's why the little conversation I had was this. Don't expect Brad to do anything. He is going to utilize the players that they brought in. They build a 69-man roster for a reason. This is their team. They want to try to keep all these guys on the practice squad. It is going to be challenging to do so. But if they can manage to do so and now elevate a few players, they elevated Tim, right? He's now signed to the 53. But if they can keep these guys around, they have a really good chance of getting through this season with some injuries. And hopefully get a couple of guys back. Hopefully. Well, John Kaminsky's looking real sexy now at the end of the season, isn't he? If he can come back.
Yeah.
So now it makes a little bit more sense as to why they did what they did at 53-man cut day, because now we're missing a big piece to this defense, and Kaminsky might have a shot at coming back. All we have to do is make it to the playoffs, and things can change from there. Change in a hurry. So what are your thoughts? You guys tell me in the comments or the chat below. Do you expect Brad Holmes? Yes or no? Do you expect Brad Holmes to go out and spend big money, big time trade on somebody to replace Davenport? Do you think he will do it? It's not do you want him to do it. Do you think he will do it? What do you think, Eric?
I would caution everyone to hit the rewind button and go back to the trade deadline last year. Everybody wanted Chase.
Yeah, or Daniil Hunter.
Yeah, well, the San Francisco 49ers ended up getting Chase. And look what happened for them. He ended up not even playing in some of the playoff games because he just wasn't a team player and didn't fit with their team. He took plays off and he was lazy.
It's a freelancer.
He was there for his bag, and that's all he cared about. And they gave up a 3rd round pick for a 8-game rental. Yeah. And the guy didn't work out. So I'm going to tell everyone in the chat right now and everyone watching, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes these free agents, they just don't work out. You have to have people that fit your scheme, fit your team, have the right mentality. And listen, Brad's not going to bring in anyone. He's not going to bring in Max Crosby if he's a problem, no matter how good he is. And I hear people wanting Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson and a bunch of other people. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening personally. And Brad Holmes just does not operate that way. Brad Holmes does stuff the way Brad Holmes wants to do it, not the way you want him to do it.
You sign Max Crosby, you can wave goodbye to Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
And Max right now is on a 4-year, $94 million deal through 2026. It was a rookie extension. Not going to happen. And I don't think Max Crosby is a problem. I think the dude is, I think he's, high motor, plays well, good intentions, doesn't get in any trouble, completely reshaped his life. I think Max Crosby's a man's man and doing the right positive things in life. Dude's great, man. Love Max and all the energy, the good energy that he brings. Let's talk Hassan Reddick for a minute. And then in the last 5 minutes of the show, I want you guys to give us a topic. Throw me a topic, throw me a name, throw me anything for the last 5-6 minutes of the show. Hassan Reddick. So, first of all, I'm surprised that I'm not seeing, the Micah Parsons names, the Bosas, the Watts. I'm surprised I'm not seeing all these names flying yet. I'm sure it's coming. Let's see this. So Aaron Rodgers, he blasts Hassan Reddick's camp for summer reports of Jets disarray. I don't know what the hell that means. Rodgers offered his thoughts on offseason reporting into alleged cultural issues within the Jets organization and who he believes is to blame. What? The New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers joined the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday and was asked about offseason reporting into alleged disarray within the team's locker room. Rodgers was happy to blame one likely culprit into the report, and that was, get this, quote, I would say the cultural is about the opposite of what that article said. Rodgers said with a laugh. I didn't read the article, so that's a timeout, Rodgers. You can't say that the cultural, and it should say culture, is about the opposite of what the article said, and then say you didn't read the article. You just contradicted yourself, buddy. So anyway, I didn't read the article, but just reading that headline there, it sounds like it was written by Hassan Reddick's agent. or former agent, I guess, with the way they're trying to disparage our great organization. Headlines. That's another thing. So I tried to explain this to somebody the other day. I saw this headline. It was political. And I'm like, man, this is the kind of stuff that when people read this stuff, they think that it's true. And they don't take 3 seconds just to verify that the website that they're reading is real, not satire, not fake, not some, bot. I won't use the R word, but I think you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda campaigns in everything now today. Sports, politics, even Little League, for God's sakes. Just about anything and everything. There's these misinformation, disinformation campaigns out there. I don't get it. But that's why I really wanted to get into this media thing, because I want to be able to bring truth, honesty, and transparency back to media. And there's very few people that honor that. That's what it used to be about. But anyway, he goes on to say that Reddick, of course, was acquired by the Jets in the offseason from the Philadelphia Eagles in an exchange for a conditional 3rd-round pick. So there's your value for Hassan Reddick, a conditional 3rd-round pick. That's what the Jets would probably want back. Reddick and the Jets were unable to come to an agreement on a contract extension. That should have been figured out beforehand after being acquired. So, and Reddick since asked for a trade. He did not report for training camp, and it did not appear in any of the games so far this season for the Jets. Despite the reporting, though, Rodgers has focused his attention to the team's 2-1 start and how the team culture has put them in position to succeed. Quote, we really don't care, or we really do. It probably was the other way around. We really do care about each other, and we enjoy spending time with each other, Rodgers said. We've created an environment where there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of time for important conversations that show up on the field. And then there's time for us to get to know each other in time spent outside the building that allows us to come together. So I'm very thankful for the environment that Coach Saleh has brought. The whole point of me bringing this up is Hassan Reddick is around the focal point, right? The campfire conversation here of being a problem for the Jets organization. Your quarterback is talking about it. That's a problem. Do we really want a problem inside the locker room? Do we really want somebody else's trash? Yeah, sometimes, hey, somebody else's trash can be your treasure. Not saying that Hassan Reddick's not a good player, but he's also not a player that even fits the dynamic or the mold that we're looking for. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, we need a big end. He's not a big end. Okay, we need an outside linebacker. He could fit that role. He could. He could replace Derek Barnes. Absolutely. And he would be an absolute animal behind Aiden Hutchinson. So there is a possibility, yes, he would fit in that role, but he would not fit as a big end on this defense. And at $15+ million a year, to bring in all these headaches does not make any sense either. So you got to look at things a little bit deeper, right? And that's why I try to bring those things to your attention, because it would never make any sense from a surface level. And when you start to dig into it, it would never make any sense. And I definitely can't imagine seeing these types of problems that the Jets are dealing with, and Aaron Rodgers is now vocal about on national TV on one of the largest shows, on the internet, saying that this stuff is coming from Hassan Reddick's camp. So I don't think the Lions want to be a part of that, and nor would they. I can't imagine Brad would ever do something like that. Thoughts on that?
No. Yeah, no. I that dude's a cancer. I don't see him ever coming here. So listen, you have to be a Brad and Dan kind of guy. You have to have the grit, the it factor. Whether you are the best player or not doesn't matter to them. You have to have the right attitude and the right mentality. Otherwise, you're just not going to fit. They always say, like, when you have a bunch of fruit, let's say you have a bunch of strawberries in a basket, you put one bad strawberry in there with the rest of them, it's going to infect all the rest of them. So you can't have one bad apple, as they say. It really does ruin the bunch, and it just spreads like a cancer throughout a locker room. You can't have it. you just have to eliminate that. So I don't ever see us signing a player like Reddick. I just don't see it. I did see a good question in the chat, though. Where is it at here?
Well, I'm looking at the one from Tarantino about Peyton Turner.
Yeah.
So,
Peyton Turner.
I love the size of Peyton Turner. I don't know if there's any validity to him spitting on Devonta Smith last night, and he kind of speared based on the tape. He kind of was dirty last night, or whatever day it was that they played. Today's Wednesday, so it wasn't last night. Yeah, let's talk about Peyton Turner, I guess, for just a moment. So the Saints, Peyton Turner denies spitting on the concussed Devonta Smith, and I guess when I watched this tape, this individual says they just wanted to share with you how much of a POS that Peyton Turner from the New Orleans Saints is. Devonta Smith is laying on the ground, helmet off, clearly hurt, out of it. He gets up and spits on him like the true human garbage he is. This is from somebody's Twitter. We can watch it real quick. So Peyton Turner obviously is not going to be a fit for me.
No. He's got 0 sacks on the year.
Well, I don't care about his stats.
Yeah.
I could care less about his stats. What I'm more concerned about is, this kind of behavior. Let me,
yeah.
But David Napier, you had made a statement in here, something about facts. What you might want to expand upon that.
Yeah. It's saying something about Saints 2021 first round pick Peyton Turner shoulder, says he's cleared to return. New Orleans defensive end Peyton Turner, who underwent shoulder surgery in the offseason. Yeah, so that no fun there.
I didn't know what you were talking about.
This Peyton Turner had off-season's shoulder surgery.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm more worried about is what happened during the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this David Napier said, or what he's looking for, but if he's trolling, he can just exit. The doors to the left.
Well, we did have a good thing in the chat here. So Ono Lions asks, Minnesota or Green Bay? Who are we cheering for this weekend? Me personally, I would never root for the Green Bay Packers ever, 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 ever. So I would be rooting on the Minnesota Vikings this weekend. I know it would put them up one more game.
Yeah, at some point you've got to get rid of the hatred for the Packers, because you can't allow Minnesota to go up 4-0.
Nope. I would rather Minnesota go up because they will eventually come crashing back down. So
yeah, I don't think so.
I
don't think that's happening right now. Then you let them go up in one game in the division. I would rather see Green Bay win this game and kind of level the playing field. It's a numbers game.
Nope.
It's a numbers game. So if you do the pro football playoff predictor and you start running through the numbers, I think you'll probably get the answer that you want.
I know. I should, but I can't. I can't do it, and I won't pick them. I can't.
All right, here we go. So this is Peyton Turner. So I didn't know if you wanted me to, talk about this, Tarantino, about, is he a good fit? I guess what I would say for me is just based on what this play shows. Oh, let me get the volume off. Just based on what this little clip shows, which I don't know if this is the right clip. They didn't put the full clip in. Well, that didn't work. I want to see the full clip. Let me go to this next one. Let me see if it's actually the right one. No, that's not the right one either. Well, I'm not going to have time to go find it, but what I noticed is that when Devonta Smith was down on the ground, Turner lunged at him, helmet on and hit him again, and then got up and allegedly spit on him. Allegedly. I don't know if there's any clear tape to show that he did, but if that's any which way, shape, or form true at all, I would run the other direction. So what's the last question for the day here?
I don't know. It was just the Lions and
You're frozen again?
yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's the last couple minutes of the show. I can be frozen as long as they can hear me.
Okay.
I think it's a cable issue myself.
A cable issue?
Yeah, I touched a cable. So
It's
I think
that loose?
it must be. So I'm gonna fix that later today.
It's like throwing hot dogs down a hallway.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, what is this Sub-Zero stuff?
Oh, I don't know.
Jay Cruisin'. Not sure what you're talking about here, buddy.
I'm not seeing it.
Do we have a final question, final statement, final player? What do you guys want for the last 2 minutes? I think, Eric, do you got to go right now?
Pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike P says, sorry, Eric, my friend. I agree with Will. Green Bay over Vikes. I can't do it, dude. I just can't.
All right, so let's talk about that. Let's just talk about that for a minute. We already talked about Trey Hendrickson, Will Akers.
Yeah. I can't separate my fandom from my fandom, from my hatred of the pack. I can't, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's the Lions would get a playoff spot because the Green Bay Packers lose or win. I can't do it, dude. I can't.
Well, then you're not a Lions fan.
I am.
Clearly you're not.
Yeah.
You just said if the Lions got a playoff spot to the Green Bay Packers winning, you wouldn't root for the Packers. That means that your Lions are no longer in the playoffs. Come on, Eric.
I'd have to go hide in a closet.
You're smarter than that.
I can't. I just can't win. I can't.
It's part of the game.
I can't do it.
So the Vikings are 3-0. Lions are 2-1. The Packers are 2-1. The Bears are 1-2. And right now, you've got divisional games that are starting up for the NFC North. First of which is the Vikings and the Packers. If you extrapolate this over the whole season, what I think you would rather see here, I can't remember. Are the Vikings on the road or are they at home?
Vikings are on the road. It's at Green Bay.
Okay, so you definitely want the Vikings to win that game. You definitely, because not only is it an away game, right, that there's a whole weird conglomerate of tiebreaker rules and all this other crap. You definitely want them to win that game. But making them, go 1-1 against each other would be the hope. That the Vikings snatch one now, or I'm sorry, that the Packers. You said the Packers are on the road, right?
No. Vikings are on the road. It's at Packers.
Wow. Either way, you still want the Packers to win this game. You'd rather see it leveled up at 3-1. Let the Packers be up 1-0 in the division. You got to remember that the overall record is what matters first.
I know.
So the overall record is what matters first. So, if the Packers just tie it up with the Vikings and then the Lions win this weekend and we tie it up, now we're in a three-way knot for, the first place in the North.
Yes.
And then that would give the Packers a 1-1 at home. Right? That would give the Lions 1-1 at home.
Could they just tie?
Oh, I don't think ties really exist in the NFL anymore.
They can.
I mean, it did be rough, but yeah.
Regular season, they can tie. And if they go to overtime and nobody scores, they can tie, or they kick field goals.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've got to get the Packers to win this game.
I know, but I don't want. I can't.
Yeah. No. Well, unfortunately, on this show, we try to give you the truth, the honesty, the transparency, and the facts about how your teams can win and make it into the playoffs, and what it takes to get there. We have to put the fandom aside for, or the crazy tinfoil fandom aside in this case, because we need Vikings to drop a game. We need them to get off of their hot start. Which again, for the 15th time, I warned you about Sam Darnold. I warned you about this defense, and it's damn good, man. It's damn good. All right, moving on until tomorrow and tonight. So tomorrow I'll be back at 8 a.m. Tonight we'll be back at, or I'll be back at 8 p.m. So tonight's fantasy football tonight has got to move back. Jared is in Miami. He's in a plane or something right now. So when he touches down, we will touch down and get rolling on fantasy football tonight. We'll be talking about a lot of different things, but of course, your fantasy football lineups before Thursday, and should be a good conversation. Look, this dude gives out great information, and he's been spot on with a lot of his calls. Rocked on Cancer League that he invested into and paid for and donated. We'll talk about that tonight and where that's going, and everything else surrounding fantasy football tonight, 8 p.m. right back here.
Right on.
So, Eric, someday we'll just have to have a conversation about your hatred.
Everybody can beat me up. I don't care.
Hate's a tough thing to hold on to, man.
Listen, I don't know. Maybe I got to give it up. Maybe I got to let go. I don't know. Listen, I always swore I would never go to Lambeau. I would never step foot in that stadium. But
we're going to go, hopefully, yeah.
You and one of my super fans, you guys have talked me into actually going to Lambeau this year, so I'm going to do it. Dude, my skin's going to crawl the whole time I'm there. All I want to do is go take a crap on the 50-yard line. And, dude, you guys don't know what it's like to live in a place where it's 90% Packer fans and 10% Lions fans, and all they do is crap on you all day long, every day for 30 something years about how great their team is and how your team sucks and you need to change teams and you're an idiot and blah, blah, blah. Just, they've given me nothing but hell for 30 something years, and they were brutal. I can't say the stuff they said to me on here at all. And it's an absolute hatred because of the way I was treated by Packer fans.
Well, let it be. Well, let it be. But we'll talk more about the rest of the schedule tomorrow and how it's going to help or hurt the Lions. We'll dive into the playoff predictor, of course, on Friday, and that'll be fun to look at, to see where we are right now. I am ranked in the top 5 in the nation for my pick'ems. I'm not saying to bet them, but maybe you should pay attention. We'll have more pick'ems coming out on tomorrow morning because we got to pick the Thursday game. And then Friday, I do the first set of the weekend. And then on Saturday at 11:30 a.m., I will do a video with my final, even though I probably should do it on Sunday, probably around 10:30. I do it on Saturday. So if I change things, I change it on Twitter at Will Rock Jr., and that usually comes out on Sunday as well with the final. There's like 3 different versions of it. You got your early predictions and then your final predictions and everything in between. You guys have been great. Thank you for joining the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, right at 8 a.m. Take care.
See ya.